The last little bit of lecture has to do with the way that you're going to interact with some of the models that we look at in the course. And what a model is, it is some kind of representation of something in science. At least for us, it will be. And models for us will take the form of either diagrams on the PowerPoint or in the textbook. And they can also be three-dimensional objects if we were going to be live together in lab. Models can also be computer simulations, math equations, and those kinds of things. Mostly what you will be looking at are diagrams as models. So models in the form of textbook diagrams are meant to teach one particular thing, while usually they ignore other details. And so the problem for a student is that you're looking at something you've never seen before. You're not maybe clear on what details are not being shown. And so you may take meaning from something that's not intended to give you meaning. And so that can be confusing. So what I want to point out is an example. Let's say that this is a model of the human heart. And so over here. So let's say you saw this in a textbook. And maybe this says right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, left ventricle. What is being shown here is the flow of blood through the chambers of the heart. So I actually took this diagram from some book. But what's not being intended here is for you to think that the heart is shaped like a square. And because you have experience with a heart, probably in some form, you know it's not shaped like a box. But in this diagram, they're showing it that way because really what they're emphasizing is which way the blood flows through the chambers. And of course, there would be labels and such. So because you have experience with heart, or you have an idea of what a heart actually looks like, you would automatically understand that the shape is not intended to be accurate. But if you've never seen a heart, then you wouldn't know that. So when we're learning in biology things that you've never seen before or that you're not familiar with, you may feel that confusion. And so as best I can, I try to explain the diagrams. And if you're still having confusion about it, please ask for some additional help, because sometimes the artist puts things into the diagram that I wish they hadn't put in there, because as a student, when you're looking at it for the first time, you may not automatically know what to ignore and what to pay attention to. So I will do my best to be aware of that. And then if you still have some issues, please write those things down and ask me. And a lot of the times you'll be looking at something and you're thinking, I'm not sure I'm supposed to pay attention to this or that. A lot of times you're right. But if you feel uncomfortable, please ask. The other problem that you might have is with scale. So I mentioned when we were looking at the hierarchy of biological organization, atoms are the smallest thing, and then molecules are a little bigger, and then macromolecules are bigger, and organelles and cells, and things keep getting bigger as you move up the hierarchy. And in the pictures that they provided, they scaled all of those items to look about the same size. But on the atom, you're zoomed in, whereas on the biosphere, you're zoomed out, if you know what I mean. And so, again, because you may have some sense of these things, you know that the Earth is bigger than an atom, your brain already adjusts to that. But as we're learning things that are very small that you don't have such a sense of scale, then your brain might not be able to arrange them according to size. And that is something that your brain wants to do, is to figure out what's bigger than what. So I give you a different example here. These are all depictions or models of men. We have on the left the bathroom sign. Then you have these little game pieces from Sorry. And then you have a bobblehead figure. And then you have at the bottom on the right, you have Troy Aikman, former Dallas Cowboys quarterback. So because you have some experience with these things, you probably inherently know which one is the biggest and which one is the smallest. The Sorry game pieces are the smallest, followed maybe by the bobblehead and the bathroom sign. And then the biggest is going to be Troy Aikman. But your brain automatically adjusts to, you know, which of these are zoomed in and which of these are zoomed out because you have experience with the objects. But as we are looking at things that you don't have any experience with, you may have some trouble with scale. So again, I will try my best to clarify that in the lecture, but also if you are still stuck, that's very normal. And it means your brain is working on, the material that I'm asking you to work on. So I want to know if you're having any trouble with scale, and I can help you sort that out. So those are just a few things to be aware of as you're looking through textbook pictures, as you're looking through slideshows and such, that can be confusing. So that is the end of the lecture. I hope you took some detailed notes. Go back and study your notes. There are some vocabulary words. There are a few sequences that you want to study and practice. And then go back through your learning objectives. And when you feel like you've studied, go ahead and attempt the post quiz. Remember, you can take that as many times as you want, but it's going to average the grades, so do the best you can on each one.